Hey guys, it's Danny Elliott. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining me today. So, a couple spends $5,000 a month supporting their 27-year-old daughter who moved back home. Everybody's upset. Everybody's having emotional trauma because nobody in America is independent. On Independence Day, happy 4th of July, everyone. A 66-year-old Sherman Oaks, California-based mom thought she'd be enjoying her retirement with her husband. Instead, she's sharing her home with an unexpected roommate, her 27-year-old daughter. The daughter moved back in early 2024. The mother, who asked to remain anonymous to protect her daughter's reputation, says they're spending close to $5,000 a month covering all of the child's living expenses, including food, transportation, and healthcare. Now, first of all, how expensive is healthcare if you're 27 years old? You know, like, what is actually happening here? Are there surgeries? Is she getting old at 27? Like, what's going on with the healthcare? Why are we spending so much on healthcare? And food and transportation, don't you make meals at home? Don't you all share? Because of the increased expenses, she says they're no longer going on vacation this year. Oh. And her husband, who is a radiologist, so he's got the money, may have to delay his retirement. Oh no. We were not planning on this kind of expenditure at this point of our lives, the mother says. The reason we do it is because we don't want to see her on the streets. Well, but $5,000 a month is still a lot of money when you're eating at home. I mean, see, this is the thing. Like, Americans are always eating out. Americans are always spending on, random things. Spend money on beauty products. They got to spend money on cosmetology services. They got to spend money on the bag. They got to spend money on the car lease. It's all about just keeping up appearances for strangers who don't even care about them. And I'm sure they have a big house in Sherman Oaks. So this is the other thing. Like, everyone is borrowing against their assets. So all these kids who think they're going to inherit their mom and dad's house, they've taken out all of this money against the asset that you don't even have anything when they die. Everyone's borrowing against their house so they could take cash out, and they're paying high interest rates right now. The couple joined a growing number of parents who says their finances have been affected by children aged 18 to 35 moving back home. Parents are sacrificing for their adult children. The parents from Sherman Oaks say their relationship has become so strained that they've turned to Kim Munch, a parenting coach. A parenting coach? We have those? Many parents aren't traveling like they typically would. They're pushing off their retirement and they're foregoing other self-care. Parents sometimes hesitate to get help for themselves and invest in their health because they're already spending more than they would like to support their adult or emerging adult children. Emerging adult children. When do we become adults? Hey, millennials, since it's my generation, when do we actually get to become adults? Because I always see these articles that millennials are struggling with adulting, and they think that it's tough being a single millennial, and how did everything get so expensive? And they don't understand, and they can't figure it out, and now they're going to move back in with their parents. Not taking care of self-care. I mean, why don't you go outside and go for a run? Everybody has a local park, Everybody can put together a plan and exercise. But, everybody's just got to be on a subscription and go to yoga class, I guess. And experts also say that dipping into long-term savings or delaying retirement can lead to financial challenges later in life, especially if health issues or age make it difficult to keep working. They're at the grocery store, they're bagging groceries. And many of her clients are forgoing vacations because they don't trust their kids to stay home alone. Hey, I understand, you need to keep that asset in highest and best condition, because you're going to be borrowing against that thing until the day you die. And then, your children are just going to inherit the debt from you. And some of the decisions aren't driven by the lack of money. Munch says, I would say 80% of it is emotional and 20% is financial from the parents. Everyone is experiencing trauma. Have you noticed that too? Everybody is having trauma because, you know, there's no jobs out there. I mean, apparently there's no jobs because this girl does not work. She's just spending $5,000 per month. And the mother said, at this point, I was hoping to do a lot more traveling. I thought my husband and I would have the house to ourselves with the dogs, and we wouldn't be worried sick about her all the time. I mean, how are you worried sick about her? She's living in your house. But Munch says parents and children need to have some emotional maturity. Parents are happy to care for their adult children when they first move back home, but there's an expectation that the move will be temporary. This expectation stuff, why don't you just tell the kid, hey, we're going to let you move back in on a temporary basis, but then you got to get out. You know, like you have to go back to work. And then Munch said, you know, what's really needed are financial boundaries. See, the problem in America is most people in this country have no idea how to do math. They don't understand that our purchasing power has been completely destroyed. Like, all the Republicans right now are celebrating the big bill. This tax extension, everyone's talking about how there's no tax on tips, and this is going to be just the most wonderful thing. Well, I mean, it's already been established in this article that people are not going on vacation because they don't have any money. People are cutting back. Consumers, their confidence is dropping. People are spending less money out at the store. They're not going to go on vacations. And so who's going to be tipping? And if you're ordering less food when you go out to eat, then the tip is going to be smaller. So if you pay no tax, but the tip is smaller, you're making less money. And we already know from the establishment survey that came out on Thursday that all the jobs are government jobs. So you're either working full-time and you're working for the government, or you're working in the private sector and your hours are dwindling by the week. So, I mean, yeah, that's great that we had a tax extension of one of the highest tax rates in the world, by the way. But if you don't have any income, the government doesn't collect any tax from you, right? And if you're not going out to eat, your waitress is not getting a tip from you. It's just about a vibe, you know? It's about a vibe with Trump. Everybody is just in love, and they think Trump is just fixing everything. But it's business as usual. It's basically business as usual. There's no real cuts to government in the United States. It's just more of the same. So we're just going to have more inflation. The tariffs are still out there. We still don't know what's going to happen with Europe. And we've seen the dollar decline. If everybody's working for the government and nobody works in the private sector, then the tax receipts are not going to go up. And the spending is going to continue to increase. The government is making our lives harder through all this spending, and that's why the cost of all the goods and services are going up. And that's why this radiologist guy is worried that he's never going to be able to retire. Friends of my mom and dad, and like they're still working in their 70s because they have to pay for their adult children who can't make any money and they don't know how to invest, and all they know how to do is create new liabilities and not buy any assets. But this whole thing, like, it's about emotions, and 80% of it is like just we need to go to therapy for our finances. It's like, no, you need to learn math and you need to be able to budget. Like, these home buyers out here that just, they're buying whatever Zillow says. It's always just, well, this is your principal and interest, so this is what your monthly payment's going to be. And you'll ask, like, well, what are the real estate taxes? And then they'll just give you some guess, like on TikTok. They just have this crazy formula that should tell you, like, how much your hidden expenses should be. Listen, they're only hidden because the real estate agents don't want you to know what they are, right? That's what happened in 2020 and 2021 and 2022. They just said, don't worry about it. Real estate always goes up. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about the price. Buy the monthly payment, right? It's a Scooby-Doo mystery. We can't figure it out. We should just guess, you know, instead of like using like your AI chat and just saying, hey chat, how do I figure out my real estate taxes in Florida? And then chat will tell you. Like, they still haven't figured out that AI is going to take all these jobs, you know? Like, I'm telling you, it's coming to an end. The only people who aren't going to lose their jobs are the people who work in government, because government will never upgrade. They will always keep people at these no-show jobs, these desk jobs. We're always going to have government school teachers who are responsible for the worst learning outcomes on planet Earth. We're always going to have firefighters who have never fought a fire. They just hang out at the firehouse all day. We're always going to have extra police officers, you know, just hanging around. There goes one right now. He was hanging around in the parking lot. Now he's going to move down the street and sit in another parking lot. Like, we're just paying for all of these holding costs of government, and government's never going to get smaller. It's always going to stay the same size or get bigger. That's why the big bill, everybody's calling it a tax cut, because government is always expected to enlarge every single year. It never shrinks, never gets smaller. So if government stays the same size, they call it a cut, even though it's not a cut, even though nothing's been cut. So, but I hear we got a lot of new war spending. You know, the Department of Defense got a lot of money. I hear that we're going to have a Trump face on Mount Rushmore now, because we only blow, you know, over $2 million a year on that thing. So now we got to spend like another $25 million putting Trump's head up on that thing. I mean, this is just totally ridiculous, guys. You know, I'm getting kind of tired of it. And oh look, here's the cops right now. Anyways, I gotta go. I'm about to be pulled over for talking bad. Appreciate you watching me today, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm Danny Elliott.